Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Columbus Museum of Art and to the final day of CXC programming. My name is Jeff Sims, and my title here at the museum is creative producer. And one of the things I do is work on the Columbus Comics Residency, which is a program this is the 8th year of that residency program, and it's the 3rd year that we've been partnered with CCAD. And that residency program consists of bringing a cartoonist from outside of Columbus to live here in the CCAD visiting artist residence for, in this case, 4 weeks. And then we host an exhibition here at Columbus Museum of Art of that cartoonist's work. And then the cartoonist is a special guest at CXC, and we do this public interview each year. And so I'm very happy that we've been able to keep this program going for 8 years, and just as a kind of little teaser for the 10th year, we're thinking about some big plans that should be pretty exciting. So it's been a great program, and we're especially fortunate this year to have Ivy Adams as the resident artist, and I think Tom Spurgeon said it very clearly when he called Ivy a complete original, I think was the phrase, and that's completely accurate. Ivy is a unique voice in comics, and I think it was a perfect fit to exhibit in the museum, and it's been inspiring to a lot of people already. The exhibition is, of course, in this hallway just out here. I hope everyone got a chance to see it. It's going to be open until April 4th of next year, so there's a nice long run. So if you're local or if you want to come back to Columbus and check it out, please do. And Ivy's going to be interviewed by Carta Monir, who, as everyone who attended CXC yesterday knows, received the Emerging Talent Award. So we've got 2 stars of the CXC Festival of 2019 here on stage. I knew it was going to be kind of like the hot ticket for the festival, and so I'm glad that everyone came. I'm pretty sure that Carta Monir's writing about Ivy's book, Pinky and Pepper, is the way that I found out about Ivy Adams' work in the first place. So Carta's the perfect person to interview Ivy, and I know we're in for a treat, so let's just jump right into it.
Thank you, Jeff.
Hi, everybody. I'm Carta Monir. I cannot be more pleased to be interviewing Ivy. Ivy is easily one of my favorite creators. I had a chance to look through the museum exhibit a little bit, and I have to say, it is everything I would want out of a museum exhibit, highlighting a comics artist. Just so much beautiful work. Ephemera, sketches, it's incredible. So I highly recommend that you check it out if you haven't yet. I want to get into the messy parts of Ivy's work. We talked a little bit before this interview about what we did and didn't want to talk about. So I think where I want to start is with the theme of sexualized horror. And I guess before we begin this interview in earnest, I should say we are obviously going to be talking about some upsetting things, and there are upsetting themes throughout Ivy's work. And so if at any point you need to take care of yourself and leave the room, we will not be hurt. So that getting out of the way. Something that I really enjoy about your work is that you don't shy away from depicting violence, but the way that you depict violence is entirely unique among artists, as far as I'm concerned, and generally is accompanied by smiling faces and sort of sexy overtones and jokes. And I was wondering if you could speak a little bit to the portrayal of violence in your work and the decision to make it scary with a smile, so to speak.
Well, Thanks everybody for coming out. I'm interested in horror for sure, and but I also think like horror is just like the other side of the coin of comedy. Whereas like I will see a lot of comedy movies and feel absolutely repulsed and horrible by the jokes that are supposed to be jokes, and then I will laugh a lot at horror. I think like just you go through shit, and sometimes you just have to make a joke about it. Not even like make a joke about it, but just like lean into it. Like, yeah. Yeah.
Would you say it's like, are you intentionally like tempering the horror with humor?
No, I just like, it's just like my style, right? Like it's my vibe. This drawing is just from I wish I had control over this. Like I made this drawing in my diary and it was like, welcome to boyfriend asylum, because I'm just like having like some boy issues, and it's like got some straight jackets and stuff, and it's just like edgy for fun, you know? And it's like I've been raised on like Adult Swim and Invader Zim and stuff. Shout out Jonan Vasquez is from San Jose, that's my hometown. So I think like, you know, being coming from like the background of like art and cartoons that I did, like that type of edgy humor is like definitely like a part of my influences, and then pair that with the real life experiences that I go through, which is just like my own mental fuckery, the general miasma of just like being gay and stupid, and other like traumatic events. Like this piece right here is like about some really serious inherited trauma. Like it shows the neuropets, the big neuropets passing it on to the small ones, and any way that I can like abstract something, freakify it, and make it completely my own with my own like personal like lexicon of characters and symbols is like a way that I'm able to process pain and also like make it something that I genuinely find hilarious. Like I will be laughing when I'm drawing these things, and if that makes me a psycho, then.
I'm glad that you mentioned like abstracting and getting into a personal lexicon, because that's something that we talked a little bit about
For sure.
in private when we were hanging out. And I think it's really interesting the way that you choose to abstract like very complicated emotions and situations, because I mean, obviously, I don't need to lecture anybody here about like the uniqueness of the comics medium, but there is something going on in your work that like would not work in other mediums. And like, can you speak a little bit about the way that you decide to abstract things, and also a little bit about like examples of like obscure items from your personal lexicon that you mentioned?
Absolutely.
Like what, you know, chains show up a lot in your work? Or...
First, I'm going to say that I think my work does not have to just exist in comics. Wow. I would love a cartoon, and if anyone has any connections, please hit me up. I'm also open to live action, but to speak about like, I hope this is fine if I just keep it here, about like personal symbols, I think kind of where like a lot of art gets like lost in the sauce is just like people are going to like symbols that are like already so known. And I'll do that too. Like here's a Madonna and Child. That's powerful symbolism. And you can draw from like things that are powerful to you, like culturally, spiritually, whatever. But I think it's also really important to like find these weird everyday objects or symbols that keep appearing in your life and use them in your art. One of my recurring themes a lot is lines of ants and a magnifying glass on the ant because of a personal experience that I have in when I look too close to something, I often end up destroying it. And it just keeps coming down the line, and I keep fucking it up every single time, like a line of ants under a magnifying glass. So finding something that's a personal metaphor for you, that it doesn't come from anything else, like it comes from your own real experience in day-to-day life and giving it meaning, and then continuing to put that in my work over and over again, regardless of what I'm working on, I think gives my work a deeper meaning than what is just like on the page or just like, you know, the plot or whatever. Like, I'm not really interested in like factual or like logical-based world building, but I am really interested in like an emotional-based world building where like symbols and images keep repeating it themselves, so the readers can slowly start to figure them out.
Mm-hmm. And like your approach to world building is definitely not to explain anything to the reader.
Yeah, I don't give a fuck about explaining things to the reader. Like, my readers are smart people, like, and I'm just, like, not in the business of, like I made this sci-fi comic, Emotional Support Animal, and, like, it really, like, I mean, I don't really know how it reads. I just got it yesterday, thanks to...
I think it's good.
Carta's amazing and fast and high-quality risograph printing service. But, yeah, I just drop y'all in there. Like, there's neuropets. They're attached to your brain. They share emotions with you, but we still live in the present day, and we have to plug our phones in and stuff. So, I think just like dropping the reader into like a really bizarre, like Toontown world with like my own laws is part of what's really fun about making comics.
Mm-hmm. So changing direction a little bit, Pinky and Pepper, one of my favorite comics of all time. You should buy multiple copies if you haven't. And if you have, you should buy more. It deals with a lot of like very overtly religious themes. And something that I know about you is that you are personally religious.
I'm a little religious. I think everything is a practice, you know, like love is a practice. Like, it's a feeling, but it's a practice. Just how like art, like, being like I'm an artist, like people treat it like it's an identity, but it's not. Like, it's a practice. And that's how I feel about religion too. Like, I'm not very practiced in it, but it's left its impression on me that is unshakable. So, you know, I went to Catholic school, all girls, do the math. And so religious symbology is important to me because there's some evil, there's some deep-rooted evil in it too that I find useful to tap into when making horror and like when like drawing about these crazy feelings like, I'll die for you, I'll sacrifice anything for this relationship. Yeah. I don't know. Hi, God.
When you go into like, so in Pinky and Pepper, both characters go to hell, and like their relationship sort of continues on unfazed. Like, they go to hell, and it's sort of like they both got jobs at Target. You know, like it's like
It is kind of like that, actually.
But like a lot of the specifics of like hell and what you focus on as scary, like seems deeply personal to you.
Yeah. I really like the idea of a personal hell. If anyone's like familiar with the Hellraiser franchise, like I really like how like, you know, the devil will make hell personal to you, and that's art, you know, like, ooh, what's gonna torture you the most? So I think that's true in Pinky and Pepper. They're haunted by their past. Like Pinky's suicide is in a bathtub, and there's an evil bathtub walking around on 4 claw feet with a face, and a bathroom with a tongue that would lick you when you sit down, and just repulsive stuff that's like kind of goofy and like Brave Little Toaster-ish, but like it's like deeply scary to me because it's like I don't know, it's just funny, like it's just gross. So I'm interested in my own personal hell.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a lot of your work has that attitude of like being sort of cute or funny on its surface, but then like when you think about it in any sort of practical sense, becoming very scary. Like what you said about the toilet with a tongue. Like when I see it, I'm like,
It's horrible.
you know, like that's a toilet with a tongue.
Yeah, it is.
You poop in its mouth, like. You know. But then, like, yeah, as you're saying, like when you think about like how the characters are actually relating to each other, it becomes like very specific and scary.
Yeah, it is specific and scary, and it doesn't help that there's also like a sexualized overtone to it, which is like something that I would not get away with if I was making the type of like edgy cartoons that I was talking about being influenced by, because it's also like it's not just like funny to like upset the kids or like you know, freak people out. It's more like, oh, this is filtered through my own experience and like my my own experience. So it becomes scarier in that sense for sure.
Something changing direction again. I have so much I want to talk to you.
You can talk about anything, bro. We're talking.
Okay, great. It's nice to hang out here
I know.
in private. Just talk about what we would normally talk about.
Well, no.
A theme that I see a lot in your work is like not letting your characters really succeed at anything. Like from book to book, it feels a lot like whenever your characters even get close to achieving a thing, it's like taken away from them. And so like like if we talk about like from the beginning of the book to the end of the book, what have these characters achieved?
Yeah.
The answer tends to be like, not a lot.
No, nothing.
A lot happens around them and to them, but like they don't have a lot of agency.
And I feel like that in my life a lot. If like sometimes I don't know, I'm just like here for the wild ride, you know, and shit just keeps happening, and I remain a passive observer of crazy shit a lot of times. And if anyone has ever felt like you're the type of person that like chaos follows you, it's probably your fault, but but it does make for really good art, and I struggle with this, like, and this is so like stupid, but like I struggle with that, like, oh, I'll be really going through it, like something so just cartoonishly terrible will be happening to me, like it just cartoonishly terrible things have been happening to me weekly, and I'm just like, oh, gotta hit the books, you know, writing, and it's like, oh, would I be able to do this if I wasn't putting myself through shit, or just like remaining like a flowing water type person that just allows things to happen and just kind of sniffing out chaos like a dog, and And I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. And like maybe when I'm old and over all this bullshit, I can make some like nice little children's books. But right now, like right now, this is what you get is like Boyfriend Asylum. So, yeah, I don't even remember your question anymore.
You answered it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did. You're doing great.
So that's that.
If we're going to talk about children's books, if you had to work on some sort of corporate media property,
If the price was right.
if the price was right, what?
Hit me
like,
up.
If you had free reign, what would it be?
I have had a lot of. I've had some ideas. You gotta pay me to get those out of me. I'm sorry, but I have some kid book ideas. I would do a kid book because I mean obviously kids should not really be reading my work because it's like pretty gross, but also like I think more people do need to give kids more credit for like what they can process and what they find funny and weird, because kids really like weird twisted shit, and like there's definitely ways to do it without making it about like my gay trauma, but until I get that deal, I will continue to make it about my gay trauma.
Yeah. Until you get the deal to make My Gay Trauma for kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
No. Yeah.
So in Emotional Support Animal, you included yourself explicitly as a character.
I did, yeah.
For the first time.
I wish we had a picture of it, but
It's you.
it's me.
It's clearly you.
It's me. I put myself in the book.
And I know that you're planning on doing more of that.
Yeah, I always hated on Autobio because I was like, y'all get some ideas. Make some characters. Like, step outside yourself for a moment. Haven't you played D&D or something? And like, so I always like really trashed Autobio work, even though like I read it and I love it and I admire it. Like, Carta be making some amazing Autobio work. Like, but I'm just so much of a hater, and also so I seek to disconnect myself from my work because a lot of the times, like, it's really difficult to face some of the things that I be writing about. So making characters is also really fun, and it's a good way to have like a little avatar where you can sort of use it almost as a voodoo doll and be like, that's you, that's not me, like, that's you. And I'll be like playing with the dolls and throwing it on the ground and be like, that's not me, and I didn't do that, that was you. But I think, I mean, and that's not to like avoid accountability or anything, it's just like more fun that way because you can really stretch the truth. Whereas like if you're like making Autobio work, it's kind of like there's only so far that you can really push things without people on Twitter being like, oh, well, you know, Ivy did this and it's canon because it's in her book. And like now. And so I'm always a little bit scared of putting myself out there like that. And I also don't know like how useful it is to like applaud people for like being so brave to share their stories, because like what else are you gonna do, you know, like what else are you gonna do? But I have been making these diary comics since I got used to drawing myself, and I didn't know if they were ever gonna see the light of day, but of course fucking vampire over here is just like, she's like, oh, you're making an Autobio comic, blah, blah, blah. So probably it will come out with Discount Press, but
I hope so.
yeah, we'll see. Sorry,
I mean,
called
like,
you a vampire.
you can call me a vampire. That's very affirming, honestly. No, I mean, like, writing, the way that you approach fiction is so interesting to me. I was just reading Eleanor Davis's new book and talking to Casey Nowak about it, and saying like, oh my God, like how do people write fiction? How do people write fiction like this? Like, this is so amazing to me. And Casey said something like, well, you don't have to write fiction because you have so much trauma.
That's rude. That's rude, dude.
It's good. We have a mean relationship.
I feel that. I love writing fiction because I love the wacky shit. Like real life is boring. And like even when I was writing Emotional Support Animal, which exists a little bit more in real life than Pinky and Pepper, I was bored, you guys. I was like, I don't want to draw a phone ever again. Like, I don't want to draw a computer. I don't even want to draw a chair. Actually, I like chairs. They can get up and walk around. And but real life is a little bit boring. And if you're inspired by real life, that's fine.
Thank
you. But and of course I'm inspired by real life. Like of course I am. But I am more inspired by the freak shit that comes out. It comes out, so there's that.
Yeah. I'm just going to let us pause a little bit.
Yeah, we can pause.
While we think about it.
We can pause. Yeah, what should we talk about? Anyone? Any ideas? Yeah? Yeah, so I don't know if it's up here, but there's like a direct there's a direct Hieronymus Bosch rip. Yeah, true. And I think, back then they didn't have cartoons and like there was these things. There are some. And anyone that's experimented with drugs or anything, there are some scary universal truths that exist. And they have been coming out of people since day one. And it's scary in there. So, I love to rip off classic artists. And if you're going to rip off anyone, rip off somebody long dead. Don't rip me off. I'll find you. I'm online all the time. So just rip off somebody old and dead and weird because they're pulling from something. Like we're all pulling from something that's we're all pulling from universal truths out here as artists. But it's easy to get lost out there with the likes and everything. Like, oh, I gotta draw this type of thing. So yeah, to answer your question, yeah, of course Hieronymus Bosch. Love him. I when the monsters crack out of the eggs, homunculuses, please, wow. Dissections, ooh.
I assume that you like Saints narratives.
I like Saints narratives too, yeah. Yeah, I do. I pray to some saints. I think I'm not gonna say anything too much on that, but
that's fair.
Yeah.
Do you want to open things up for questions? I can just keep throwing things at you too.
I can open things up from questions from you and others.
Okay.
I don't know what's the time we got. I'm happy to just discuss anything.
Nobody has angrily signaled at me yet.
No.
So we're
About 20 minutes.
Oh, we got 20 minutes. Cool.
Perfect. Yeah, we're almost at the questions time.
Yeah. So, yeah. Yeah, I am interested in martyrdom, that's for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
I find myself in a position of martyrdom frequently, and that sounds, I know that's unholy to even recognize that, so I repent for that. But in my work, for sure, I'm interested in that. Like an emotional support animal, a lot of it is about emotional regulation. These pets that are attached to the brain are able to take on the neurological load of somebody's pain. And the user of the pet sees it as just, it's a piece of technology, it's here to help me. But in reality, it's a real thinking creature. And that's sort of acting as a martyr as well. And if you've ever been in a relationship with someone where you find that you're taking on more of the emotional weight, and you're always the one absorbing the emotional weight, that can be, it's a really hard place to be in, but in a lot of ways it can be like a holy place to be in, and a really inspiring place to be in when you just approach it with pure empathy yeah, just with pure empathy.
I have a question. Hi, I have a question.
Please.
I notice a lot in your work that like you draw very explicitly sexual things, but you also have like a kind of coyness.
Yeah.
What informs your decision not to draw the dick going in?
I'm not in the business of making porn. Like, my work is like not something that, I mean, if people are gonna fap to it, like whatever, but like that's not its purpose, you know? Like, I'm here to like show sexuality. It happens. It informs our decisions. It can be great. It can be traumatic and weird. But yeah, I'm not really here to make porn, though. I do realize there's a massive market for it. So maybe would I make porn? I don't know. The other thing is I'm just not really technically skilled enough as a drawer, I think, to make something actually sexy. I think in order to make something like really sexy, you have to be pretty good at anatomy and stuff. So I don't know. It's just not my bag. Like, I'm interested in sex and sexuality as a concept. I'm not really here to make erotic art. Though erotic art is cool, and I know you're a fan of it, so.
I am a fan of it.
Maybe under a pseudonym, or we could start a little doujin circle or something, but I don't know. Yeah.
Okay, questions over there.
We're going to use this mic for audience questions.
Okay, over there in the hat.
Hi. So I'm wondering about that wavy line between fiction and autobiography, and the ways that we bring the personal to the fictional. So in that kind of Hieronymus Bosch space, in terms of the physical worlds that are imaginary, of course, that, for example, Pinky and Pepper move through. Like in the title, Pinky and Pepper Forever, it's this idea of the eternal. And essentially, because this is your construction of a world, who builds that cinder blocks that we see on the screen? Like,
I did.
You do.
I
Right.
did.
Right. So you
I'm
are
God.
You're God. Right.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm the devil too. Yeah, it's my character's personal hell, but it's also mine. Of course, I made the book, and like in Pinky and Pepper Forever, there like the comic book world like exists in the real world, and then there will be like these splash pages that's art that's created by the characters. So being able to like go into the character's mind was really helpful for me when I was making this book. Like, I really got method actor with these characters. Like, I even like recorded songs singing from their perspective and stuff like that. And so getting really into character and making art as if their hand was your hand is one of the most useful tools in fiction, in my experience.
That's really interesting because I don't know who's written about it, but the evolution of like the voice of God in a kind of like anthropological way. Like when you're making art, like you have these like meta levels of consciousness. Like you can create these like these beings that you can have the idea of how they operate, and you're aware of how you operate. And it's just interesting, like in the universals that you talk about, the way that just the layering of consciousnesses, and like I just think it really speaks to modernity, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Ivy, I have a question for you.
For sure.
As a young artist, as an up-and-coming artist.
As a rising star.
As a rising star, sometimes as a rising star, you can come into conflict with other artists or editors or people like in your professional field.
Oh, yeah.
To what extent should I, as a rising star in comics, be terrified of people's ability to destroy my career?
I think you should not be scared. People will try to destroy you or just talk down to you. And like at the end of the day, like if your work is solid enough, like you're gonna find the outlet to put it out, even if it's just self-publishing. Like self-publishing is always there for you. And I just like, I don't think any artist should be like accepting any form of like abuse from like any art directors, teachers, none of that. So I have gotten where I've gotten without compromising my work at all, and that is a privilege, but it's also like, it's a reality that you can achieve. And I'm really thankful for those who have supported me along the way, like you, Carta, and especially Silver Sprocket, because they got no rules over there. And that's really, that's like given me so much opportunity to blossom as an artist, which I think is really important. So if you're ever in a position to like foster any sort of space where artists can really like be themselves and not be talked down to or not be, I don't want to say censored, but I guess censored, I think that's really awesome, and I appreciate Columbus Museum also for that as well.
Questions?
Hi. You mentioned a little bit, but I'm particularly sort of excited and intrigued by sort of the, like, is it like multimedia approach that you take to that you put in your work, but the way that you make your work, like how Pinky and Prep, like they're dolls, like that's what they are, right? And I was like really excited to see sort of like the scale model of the Neuropet, like on display in the museum. Could you talk a little more about how that sort of comes together for you?
Honestly, I'm just flexing on y'all because nobody does this. Like, nobody does it. Nobody's done it. I'm sorry. So when I decided to use every type of media that I knew how to use to make a comic book, when people were really out there making comic books with a pencil and a ruler, which is fine. We love a pencil and a ruler. But, like, honestly, no. There's no better reason than the fact that I'm just flexing that I'm a really good artist. Sorry.
You're Something I've always admired about you is your confidence. Like, I've never known another artist, like, sometimes we talk online, me and Ivy, and like, I've never known another artist in their private tweets or like thoughts or whatever to be like, I'm a really good artist. I'm really good. Like usually, like if I'm talking about my work in private, I'm like, I suck, I'm a fraud, I'm a nightmare, you know, like.
I mean, I'm also a nightmare, but, and I will never like, I'll never like stop being humble or stop learning. Shut up. Because, you know, life is, I'm a perpetual student of life, and, but if you have something, you have something. Like, I read a lot of comics, I look at a lot of art, and nobody's doing it like me. I'm sorry. Like, they'll try afterwards. Have fun. You're putting me in a corner where now I look like an asshole, but.
No, I love it.
We can move right on. I wouldn't use that word, but I do like making something fresh. I do like making something fresh. It's just more fun. Like, it's just more fun. So, you know, if you think of something that nobody else has ever done, hold on to that shit and put it out there before someone else does it first, because it will be me.
Honestly, I was so grateful when you said that you don't like drawing phones or computers. I was like, oh, thank God, I'm safe.
Yeah, I drew plenty of phones and computers in Emotional Support Animal, but actually Emotional Support Animal 2, the title is Throw Your Phone Away, because I am not drawing no more phones. And yeah, that's it.
Further questions?
Can you like talk about toys for a second, I guess?
Yeah.
Because so much of your art reminds me of like My Little Pony and like all of that shit for obvious reasons. And I just want to hear you talk about that.
Yeah, I like toys a lot, and it's because I am a toy, and it's because I really like playing God, and I really like I like to enchant an object with a personality and let it just walk around and come to life when I go to sleep, because I still believe in that. And I like toys a lot because that's kind of their first experience with like magic and like pretending, which is like really important. Like creative play is not to be understated. Like, yeah, comics is work, art is work, but if you're not playing around with it, even if it's psycho shit, like if you're not playing around with it, you're not gonna get anywhere unique. Like, so I think play is really important, and that's why I like toys. I also really like the aesthetics of a lot of toys, just for fun and cuteness. And I also, a lot of my work is about just being a like passive observer floating down the rushing blood river of life. Like, and I think the experience of being a toy is like that. And I'm going to do something weird right now, but I'm going to recite a poem that I wrote from memory, which is about being a toy. And it goes like this. In your bike basket, on the way to the recycling center, I know you love me because I know that you could do better. And when you run your paw along my plastic seam, the one left from the mold God used to make me. So, there's a poem about being a toy. It's longer than that, but I can't remember the whole thing. So, I like toys, and I relate to being a toy.
Further questions?
Yep.
There's one in the back there.
Would you ever animate anything?
Ooh, I would love to. I would prefer if somebody else would do that, because I've tried to animate. I got like an animation program on my iPad. It's really hard, and I really applaud animators. Like y'all are thinking in a different mode. Like it is a mode that I'm not sure if I can ever tap into. Like I made this animation and it was just so stiff. Like, so I would love to see my art moving. Do I really have the skills for it? I don't know if it's my bag, but I would love to work with animators. I love collaboration, and despite what you may have seen today or gathered from what you know about my personality, I'm not a total tyrant, and I really do appreciate other people's creative efforts. And to work on an animation with other people would be a dream come true to me.
I assume that you like Sally Cruikshank.
I do. I love Sally Cruikshank a
Yeah,
lot.
that was like the first point of reference of your work when I saw it.
That's flattering.
I mean, does everyone here know Sally Cruikshank? You should check out Sally Cruikshank. Quasi at the Quackadero or Make Me Psychic or any of those things where like there's no object that doesn't come to life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like he leaves the house and his house says goodbye to him.
Yes.
You know, like.
I love giving objects life, and if you've ever been so lonely, that's where it comes from.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions before we wrap up?
That's a sad place to end.
I have a question.
All right.
I was wondering if y'all could talk a little bit about the furry scene and your own roots?
Yeah. So I don't I'm a furry. I've been doing furry conventions for a while, and a lot of people that have been doing furry conventions for a while tend to really take off and be making big money. I go to the furry conventions, and a few freaks will find me, and they'll be, or it's weird to be like in a subculture where it's already freaky, and then have these freaks come up to you and be like, "Oh, this is interesting," and I'm like, "You sound like my freaking auntie. Like, you're wearing a diaper right now. Like, shut up. Like, yeah, I'm interesting." But so free culture. Furries have always been there for me when I've been real hungry. Furry's been there feeding me. I do the furry conventions. I do the commissions online. You hit me up for a digital commission anytime. They're easy for me, and they're great. It's great money.
Ivy's doing $30.
I am doing $30 persona commissions at my CXC table today.
They're very good.
If you want one. So yeah, like much love and respect to the furry community, but where any sort of nerd community happens, there's gonna be trouble. And we've all seen it, and it's not something that I would consider any backbone of my identity. I am just always trying to find avenues for my work because I'm out there trying to connect with people and get paid. So that's that. I love furries, love fur affinity, really shaped a lot of my artwork when I was younger, along with like other furry adjacent stuff like Neopets, which is obviously an influence of my work out there. But will I ever be Popufur? No. I probably just won't because I'm not willing to. I won't speak the words because I will sell out, but but I won't on my terms.
Right.
So there's that.
Okay, Ivy Adams, everybody.
Thank you.